All right, let's start at the beginning. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. I know there's a lot going on right now with the Supreme Court leak and the nice weather. We appreciate you taking this hour to join us tonight. And if you would, we're just asking folks who are new with us to sign the sign-in sheet, which is in the chat, so that we can have your contact information afterwards. But we want to take this hour to go over a few tips for meeting with City Council. All right, next slide, Flan. So what is power? Over the years, we've been building power as the Friends of the Free Library. Each individual branch has their friends group, but collectively we are building citywide power. What is power? Can you put some ideas in the chat? Great. All right, Flan, what's the next slide? So we think that power is the ability to get things done, that power is people in numbers, that power is organized people or organized money. Power is in the public relationship, and power is a public negotiation, not a private one. There is power in a collective citywide Friends of the Free Library. We represent all 54 branches and have reached throughout every neighborhood in the city. We can bring information from our communities to the library and the city, and we can share information back to our neighborhoods. This puts us in a unique position. More importantly, we are able to mobilize people to get things done. Next slide. So how do we get things done? Next slide. So we have had a whole history of Friends of the Free Library organizing, and how we look united. Over the years, we have organized rallies in City Hall, visiting members to make sure they knew who we were. We have joined forces with patrons and workers united. During the pandemic, we've had to get loud in different ways. We've been posting on social media, getting people to write their stories and showing up at events. People have learned to use the resources we provided through our toolbox. We've gone back to old school writing letters and sending them into City Council. So we know that we need to get organized and get loud in any way we can. Next slide. So each of us in Philly lives in one of the 10 City Council districts and are represented by that elected City Council member. But we are also represented by the 7 at-large members. They have been invited to our Zoom calls, our story times, our press conferences, and now we're going to go back to them to remind them of what we think needs to be done to keep our library a robust system. Next slide. So who decides the city budget? Remember, the city budget is 2 things. It's a political tool. Where you put money shows the city's political priorities, and it's a moral document. Where the city decides to spend money shows who and what it cares about. The mayor asks each department to submit their needs for the next budget year at the beginning of the calendar year. He puts all of that together, and this year the mayor presented his proposed budget on March 31st. Hearings started in April and will continue through the end of May. In June, City Council will deliberate and vote on a balanced budget. While City Council is hearing from each of the city departments and asking questions, we want to make sure that they also hear from us. So each year we want to set up these meetings with friends, patrons, and supporters of libraries with each of our City Council members. After all of the hearings end at the end of May, they will take a vote and vote on a budget that will start July 1st. Next slide, Flan. So meeting with City Council, we want to get the meeting. So getting the meeting, we need to make sure that we understand that organizing is an inside game and an outside game. That building power of people and numbers is critical always. Inside relationships alone will never get us what we want. We also have to have power. But engaging decision makers personally is also important. We need to know enough about how government officials make certain decisions, what money is involved, who exactly is responsible for certain decisions. But we don't want to get caught up in knowing every single detail because we don't need to. We are the community, not policy experts or lawyers. Our personal testimony is key, and enough information to know the right target is key. Don't get distracted by people belittling our knowledge or making bureaucracy too complicated. We need to know the process. So first, we need to get the meeting. We have leads in our Friends of the Free Library citywide organization that are reaching out to schedule with staff of City Council to secure a meeting. Before the meeting, and we've got meetings coming up soon, we need to prepare. So we'll have a meeting to plan the meeting. And we want to remember that only people who have prepped should have a speaking role. Part of preparation is making a collective agenda to make sure that we are all on the same page. We want to make sure that we all stay on agenda that we agree on, and that our power is on our collective coordination. When we don't have the power of money, we need the power of our group and voices. We need to prepare for the unexpected. Council sometimes changes the time, location, the date. They might show up late, or they might send people in their place. We need to make a plan for what's best in the worst case scenarios. And it's okay if we're not, it's okay to leave if we're not being respected. All right, next slide, Flan. So a meeting with City Council is about building relationships. It's not about cutting a deal behind closed doors. We need to be careful about co-optation. Public officials may want to single out individuals for favors or jobs, or just solve an individual problem. We want to make sure we are warning people about this, and that we keep an eye on our collective demand and our collective relationship, that we don't want to just single ourselves out. Our power comes from the larger public that we represent, and our ability to convey that we are organized, prepared, informed, and serious. And remember that it is our meeting, that we don't want to let City Council take over or bulldoze the agenda. And we don't want to engage in conflict, but we do want to stand up for ourselves. And after the meeting, we always debrief so that we come together. People draw different lessons from interactions with those in power. Make sure that we gather after the meeting to share our experience and thoughts together, and address people's concerns and how morale was and whether we got angry. And we'll send up a follow-up letter, and we want to be able to hold that council person accountable for what they're committing to. All right, next slide, Flan. So here, if you would like, you can put your zip code or branch in the chat so that we can make sure that we are all together. I'm just dropping a document that has the leads for each of the different areas of people who are going to call those meetings together. And I'm going to pause the recording right now while we go to these breakouts. Great, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to meet in your breakout groups and start planning for our meetings coming up with City Council. So here with parts of the meeting with City Council. So we always in your pre-prep group meeting before you meet with City Council, you will be able to go through each of these parts of the meeting. So you want to start with welcome and introductions. You want, even before getting to the meeting, you will arrange and find out what the roles are with everyone coming to that meeting, that you have a lead or the chair. You'll have someone who's watching time and someone who's taking notes. So it's important to have those roles and know who's coming to that meeting with City Council before the meeting. So at the meeting, you want to do welcome and introductions, just really quick. So first, thank you for meeting, with you today. You want to talk about how we've spent time and energy preparing our agenda. So I'll be leading us through the meeting as the lead, and our time and yours is valuable, so I'll be keeping us on track. If anyone goes off topic or it's time to move on to the next agenda point, I may gently interrupt you. I'll also go through the agenda and indicate whose turn is next to speak. So that way you are leading and guiding the meeting that you're having with City Council. The next part are credentials. We are Friends of the Free Library of Philadelphia, from which libraries in your City Council district. Our branches, and you can list the branches, are those. Friends of the Free Library is a politically independent organization made up of local groups at all of the 54 neighborhood branches. We have just reached out to you to discuss our concerns about the branches in your district, and the other library friends are working to communicate with other city council representatives. The Friends support and advocate for the library system as a whole and for necessary planning, staffing, and materials at our branches. We work to ensure our communities have access to information and resources they deserve through our local libraries. Friends are the community voice in the governance of the library, from our neighborhood branches up to citywide decisions that are made for a system as a whole. So that's just one way to be able to talk about credentials. And then your meeting purpose. So one example would be, our intent today is to build an ongoing relationship with you and your office as our city council representative. We would like to explain in full both the importance of our neighborhood libraries to our communities and communicate the crisis our branches are in right now. We're interested in fully understanding your role in determining city budget priorities and the city's annual contribution to the library specifically. Overall, we want to find a way to work together to ensure our library system is fully staffed and open 6 days a week, year-round, in good operating condition physically, and has a full amount of resources necessary to meet our needs as a community and a city. And then the next part would be testimonies. And this is really your personal stories. And you don't need to talk about numbers necessarily, but to have who is going to present testimony about safe spaces and violence prevention and that impact of that with libraries for individuals. The next part would be budget and closure information as we understand it. So this is where some of the statistics that we have gathered for the Friends that you can present for each of the city council people. And then questions. And these are questions we are coming with for the city council person. So for example, it could be, we are working to understand the timeline and processes of city council negotiations. We know that following the mayor's March budget address and the library president's testimony this month, actually today, city council must hold the final vote on the budget in June. What conversations or negotiations are happening right now regarding the city budget and the library allocation? We can just ask that question. We can also ask, what is your personal role in determining the budget allocations for the Philadelphia Public Library? We know the mayor has an important role to play, but can you be specific both in terms of your role as a city council member representing our district? So these are just different questions that you will prep before you go to the meeting and know who is going to be asking them. And we have a list of possible questions that could be asked. And then we have the ask. So to sum up, what are some actions you will consider taking in order to work with us on fully funding the library? Will you provide us with a follow-up meeting to ensure progress is being made? And that's after we present, our demands that we've been holding strong on and asking them what are they going to do? And then the commitments in closing is just thanking them, and then also making sure that the follow-up on both ends are there. All right, next slide, Flan. So in wrapping up, Flan Park and I, if you want to email us about meeting dates and follow-up needs, if you need help doing meeting prep and completing an agenda, after you hold your meeting, we're asking that your note takers send us notes that we can compile them all together for the citywide Friends, and to make sure that you debrief and prepare for more actions. And my email address is whitmanreads@gmail.com if you want more information about testifying in any of the city council hearings coming up. And the last slide, just to know that you can watch, today we watched city council hear testimony from Kelly Richards, and tomorrow there will be public testimony around schools. And we know that some of our friends from the library are going to make the connections between libraries and schools. If you'd like to testify, the last day to submit for testimony on the 10th will be Monday the 9th by 3 p.m. and then Tuesday the 24th to testify by the 25th. Some community events that are coming up, we want friends groups to be at any community event coming up. We've got tabling kits if people want petitions to have on clipboards, or if you want buttons, or just form, we have QR codes you can put on tables that people can sign up to hear what's going on with Friends of the Library, but also know how to find their city council person, or how they can get in touch with other elected officials, that we can print those out for you to bring to different events in the neighborhood. The People's Budget Festival is going to be at King Sessing Park on Saturday, May 14th from 1 to 4. Not this Friday, but next Friday at Mifflin Square Park on May 13th from 2 to 4. We're having an after school celebration that we will have Friends of the Library there represented. We're going to have Flavors of the Northeast on May 15th from 1 to 7. Well, you'll see Friends members walking around with our t-shirts on to bring, to make sure everyone knows that we are in the community. There's a cleanup for Friends of Whitman Library on Saturday, May 21st from 10 to 1. And then on June 2nd, which will be after the last public testimony and the week after Memorial Day weekend, we're going to have a rally for safe public spaces at City Hall from about 10 to 12 in coordination with Parks and Rec, the Alliance, as well as workers. So are there any questions? Great. So we hope that everyone has learned a little something. If we'll send these out as notes and as a recording to everybody. And this is just basics on City Council, but to remember that City Council is voted in. We've got on May 17th, we have a primary coming up. So we encourage everyone who is able to vote to do that and to take process of voting in people who represent us, because those are the people who are determining the budgets for our beloved libraries. And we want to make sure that we have what we need to be able to serve our communities, and strong libraries are essential throughout the city. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'll stop the recording here.